Okay, now that the trial is a week away, I wanted to spend a minute and prove to you who Bridge Guy actually was. And it was, in fact, Ron Logan. Um, I've spent countless hours studying the images in this case, and I will prove it to you. And let's get into it. So Ron Logan made a phone call at 2:09 at the north end of the bridge, just 4 minutes before the girls were kidnapped. And incidentally, it takes 4 minutes to get from the north end of the bridge to where Libby filmed him. So I know he had a phone on him. And so I went through the images. In fact, here's Ron Logan's flip phone. I went through the images, image by image, and sure enough, here's Ron Logan's flip phone in his pocket. And you can tell that it's not a smartphone. You can see that it has some thickness to it from the shadow, and the dimensions indicate a flip phone. And I actually estimated the width of his flip phone at 2.1 inches. And it turns out Ron had an Alcatel flip. It's called flip phone. And there it is. And you can look for yourself. I've looked pretty intently at it, and so I know it's a Alcatel flip phone, which is 2.19 inches wide. And so I was off by zero point zero 0.09 inches. I wasn't off by much, and I was all equally nearly right on with the height as well. The width you can't really estimate too easily. I mean, but you can see it's in the ballpark. So the height of an Alcatel flip is 4.22 inches, and the width is 0.78 inches. And you can tell that that's thicker than a smartphone. And so some of you will say, well, there's no way you could have even estimated that. And I would say that's where you're wrong, because Ron Logan was carrying a water bottle. And not just any water bottle. He was carrying a Nalgene water bottle. And I saw years ago when this image first came out that he had a water bottle in his pocket, but I didn't think anything of it. In fact, I just panned it off as, well, how could that possibly help the case? But when Richard Allen was arrested, I was shocked that, because I knew it was Ron Logan even at the time. Um, and so I thought, well, I got to figure out what kind of water bottle that is, because if we know what kind of water bottle it is, then you'll have dimensions. And sure enough, my students back then, um, many of them carried this Nalgene water bottle that was very popular at the time. It's not anymore. They all carry the metal water bottles now. But at the time, these Nalgene water bottles were very popular. And um, and sure enough, this is a Nalgene water bottle. You can compare um, the angle right here. They match. It's got a black lid. You can see that the bottom of the water bottle matches up with this one. And so now, knowing that that's a Nalgene water bottle, um, they only came in a standard dimensions, 3 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall. So now we have actual dimensions, and that's where I was able to compare the cell phone dimensions to the water bottle dimensions, and that's how I was able to estimate. And they concur with each other. And that's kind of another proof that this is in fact a Nalgene water bottle. But a lot of people will say, "Well, prove that that's a water bottle." Well, I actually can prove that that's a water bottle. Um, and here's the proof. The sun was coming at this angle, went through the water, well, bounced off the water, and cast a reflection onto BG's arm. This line down here is just here's his fanny pack, and it cast a shadow onto his leg, and I'm just getting the angle of the sun with this line. And so I'm using that same angle, and it's bouncing. The light is bouncing bouncing onto his arm. And for those of you who don't know the science behind it, here's the angle of reflection is the same angle as it's coming in, the angle of incidence. So this is in fact proof that that's a water bottle. In fact, if you look carefully at the video, you'll see right there, you'll see the light kind of scatter. It's reflecting, but it's also scattered up on his, up high on his arm as well. And that's obviously coming from, the only thing it can come from is his water bottle. There's nothing else. It took me a long time to figure that out. I thought maybe, Libby were shining something, or I couldn't figure out where that was coming from, but it is coming from the water bottle. All right. What's next? Oh, well, I forgot the most important thing. The reason the water bottle is so important is you can determine bridge guy's height. If you know that this is 3 inches, you can literally take a ruler and measure what this is on your computer screen and divide it by what you physically measure on your computer screen. Obviously, you gotta, zoom out and measure from, there to there. And then it will be equal to, this is using ratios, it would be equal to bridge guy's actual height divided by 3 inches. And and when I did it, I came up with just over 6 feet, bridge guy's actual height, using the 3-inch here. And then do the same thing with the height, with the 8¼ inches, and compare it. And I came up with just under 6'2". So my calculations are bridge guy is right in the ballpark of 6'1". And that's, there's going to be some debate over that, but I believe Ron Logan was right at about 6'1". There's a guy that said that he's just a little bit taller than him that was 6 foot. So I know some people will argue he's 6'2", but regardless, it's not a 5'4" man. It's not Richard Allen. The next subject, bridge guy is left-handed. And how do we know that? Well, because the collar of his jacket is folded under itself on this side. And let me demonstrate how that happened. So, I'm right-handed, so I'm sticking my hand in my jacket, and then I'm going to attempt to put it on. I'm sitting in this chair. Not easy. But that's the tricky part, is getting your arm around it. And if you notice, this side of my jacket got folded under itself. And keep in mind, I'm right-handed, and so this is my left shoulder. The collar of his jacket is folded under itself on his right shoulder, which indicates that he's left-handed. Another indication that he's left-handed is his cell phone is in his right pocket. I keep mine in my left pocket, and the reason is because my keys go in my right pocket, and keys the cell phone came along much later than keys, so naturally I decided to put my cell phone in the other pocket. So that's another indication that he's left-handed. The other thing is the strap of his fanny pack. You can see the strap going through his jacket even. You can see it up here. Same color. Look, this is the only things that are this dark brown. That's a shoulder strap of his fanny pack. And he's got it on his left shoulder, which meant he grabbed the strap and quickly put it on to his left shoulder, which would be natural for a left-handed man. So those are all indications that the bridge guy was left-handed. And in fact, Ron Logan was left-handed. Richard Allen is right-handed. And you can see from his pool videos that he's right-handed. The next proof of who Bridge Guy is the hat. And the hat is, I think, one of the most, should have been most obvious proofs. Of course, the pin is super obvious in this image right here. You can see this shining, sort of reflecting, and it's the same shape as his pin. And you can see there's a brown, little brown area right here with a tan spot. If you look very carefully, this image, you can see there is a tan spot right there. That's the tan spot. Above the tan spot right there is another little light area. That's this. You can see brown rising, what I call brown rising. It's a little piece of brown going upward. That's this right here. You know, the halo effect you can see in other images, not just this image, but that. So I know a lot of people will say, well, that's not proof, but there's more. There's the white pin shows up not just in this image, but in multiple images. This is just one image. And you can even see that it's at the same angle that Ron Logan wore his white pin. This little white pin right there is angled. And that, like I say, that white pin shows up on multiple images. But I think for me, when these images came out, the day they came out, I knew it was Ron Logan. Because for me, it's very obvious this dent in his camo hat right here is this dent in his hat. And the pin and the shadow of the pin right there. On day one, I knew it was Ron Logan. And since then, I have only gathered more and more and more evidence that it's him. There's dozens and dozens of more proofs that it's Ron Logan. I don't have time in this video. I don't want to take too much of your time, but there is one other major, I think, piece of evidence, and that is the fanny pack. This is Ron Logan's backup fanny pack after he threw away the bloodied fanny pack. His girlfriend described it as made of a nicer material. It was that brown nylon fanny pack. And so the next day, Ron Logan wore his backup fanny pack. And this also had a shoulder strap. If you look in videos, you'll see the shoulder strap. Same. Now, yes, it's on the opposite shoulder, but Ron had more time to put this one on because he's left-handed. It's more convenient for him to have it on the left side. But you know, that would be why he put it on his other shoulder at that time. So My intention is not to be a YouTuber. I'm strictly doing this to, so people know. I think it's the truth is important. I think not only is it important that Richard Allen not be convicted because he's completely innocent. I think people need to know who committed this crime, and maybe I'll put out another video with the dozens and dozens of other proofs that it was Ron Logan. Um, but um, that's that's all I have, and I hope people take time and and know for yourself who it was.